Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series of Advanced Java. I am Shruti Agnik and in today's video lecture we are going to study in details about the statement interface. We are going to study about what a statement interface is and how it works practically in a JDBC application. So let us begin without any further delay. Now, a statement interface. Whatever queries that you want to fire and you want to reflect in the database are actually written in form of strings in a Java application. Now these Java application strings need to be converted to SQL fireable queries. This is where your statement interface will be handy or in use to you. Now this statement interface is going to take in all the string for a sort of queries that you are writing and convert them into fireable or executable SQL queries. So what it does is it is taking your string, converting it into SQL queries or SQL statements and firing it in the database. So the main work of your statement interface is to create statements and submit those SQL statements to the database. Now we shall look at how you are going to use these specific statements in a JDBC application. So in the program that we are going to focus now, we are going to do your table creation, we are going to insert, we are going to update, we are going to delete into the table, delete from the table, as well as drop a table. So all these things we are going to do using the statement interface, and the classes and interface that will be handy to you are your class, driver manager class, connection interface, and of course the statement interface with various methods like execute or execute update. We shall be focusing on execute update method here. Okay, so let's begin with the program. Hello students, welcome to Java programming. Today we are going to see about what a statement interface is and how you can apply the statement interface into program. Now let us start. Before we can do anything or use any interface here, we need to import the Java SQL statement, SQL package, and let us create a main method which throws exception. Okay. Then let us start with the string or the URL of the database, which is JDBC :mysql :localhost :3306 and the name of the database, which is student. Okay, let us start the XAMPP server and check for the database. Let us start Apache and MySQL and the admin of SQL. Let us check whether we have the student database inside. Yes, and we have a table named stud inside with columns ID and name. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, this is my database. Next I will load my class. So this is my class com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Okay, now after doing this I have to add the library, otherwise this class will not be loaded. So let me just add the SQL connector file, which is here. Okay, now this class will be loaded. Next I will register my driver manager.getConnection, and I will write the URL of the database, the username and the default password, which is null, and store it into the connection interface. Okay, next if con is not equal to null, then I have successfully entered into successful connection with database. Okay, let us just run this program. Okay, now database connection is successful. Let us now create a statement kind of reference, stmt. Okay, now this statement is used to fire the query or create a query from a string. So let me just write an SQL query in string format. So let us write create table, table name, let me give stud1 as my table. Inside that I will keep id with integer value, say 3, and name as my second column with varchar, say 20. So this is my string value. I want to convert this string into SQL format. Okay, so there this statement will be useful. Now what I have to do is, statement here is empty, so I am going to use con dot create statement. Okay, now this create statement is a method of the connection interface. Okay, so the connection interface has a method create statement and it is returning statement kind of object. Okay, so here it is returning statement, so whatever this method is going to return will be stored in statement kind of thing. Okay, so here I will write stmt is equal to con dot create statement. Now this create statement is going to help me create a SQL statement. So this string now I will be able to convert it into executable SQL statement. Okay, I am repeating once again, this is my string SQL which is in string format. Now I want to convert it into an executable SQL query or an SQL statement. So in that case my statement interface will be useful. Now this connections method create statement is going to return statement, and this statement can be used to create a string format and convert it to executable SQL statement. Okay, so now here stmt dot execute update. Now I am using this SQL update method. SQL update method, you can see it can be used to insert, update or delete. It can also be used in a DDL statement, that is a data definition language. So here I am defining my table, so it is obvious that I can use the execute update method. I am repeating once again, the execute update method is used to make any changes in the database. So it can be in form of inserting, in case of updating, in case of deleting, in case of creating a table or dropping a table. So all these statements, SQL statements, can be executed using the execute update method, and it is going to return what? Integer. Now what is this returning integer? This integer that it returns is nothing but the number of rows affected due to that SQL statement. So here it is going to return number of rows affected. Okay, so execute update, execute update. Okay, and inside execute update I have written the SQL string that I have passed, which is now actually a statement. It is being converted to a statement because it is called by stmt. Okay, so now here you are not specifying a simple string, but you are specifying your runnable SQL query. Okay, so this is my execute update, and let me just close the connection. Sout table created, and let me close the connection. Okay, let us run this table and see, run the program and see. Table created. Let us see whether the table is being reflected here. This is my student database with only a single table. Let me just refresh. Okay, you can see we have a new table stud1 and it has the same ID and name here. Okay, now let us see how you can insert data into your program. So let us just change the query here. Let us have insert into student1 values. Let us say first is ID, so I will name it 2, and another one is name, so let me have XYZ, and let me just finish it. Okay, so I have created a statement. Okay, now here I am writing SQL1, which says that now it is an executable statement because it is called by stmt, and now I will write data inserted. Okay, now let me just show what it is returning. We already saw that execute update returns the number of rows that are affected. Execute update is returning the number of rows that are affected in form of integer data type. Okay, so let us just see integer rows is equal to, okay, and let us just print data inserted and number of rows affected are plus, let me just write rows affected are plus rows. Okay, let me just run this program and see. Rows affected are 1, so 1 row is being inserted. Let us just browse the table and see. This is my student 1, 2, XYZ. Okay, now let us just delete update in the table. So let us write update table name set ID is equal to 5, where name is equal to XYZ. So what I'm doing in this query is where my name is XYZ, I'm changing its ID to 5. My name is XYZ, ID is 2, but now it will turn to 5 after I execute this statement. Okay, this remains the same. Number of rows affected will be again 1. So let us run and see the program. Rows affected 1. Let us refresh and see. 5 XYZ. Okay, let us delete from the table. Delete from stud1 where name is XYZ. Let us run the program. Rows affected again 1. Let us browse the table again. No values. Okay, so there are no values inside the table, it is empty. Okay, let us now drop the table. Let me write drop table stud1. Okay, let me just run the program. Rows affected will be 0 because due to the data definition language it is deleting the whole table. Okay, it is not deleting any number of rows, but it is deleting the whole table. So number of rows affected is not affected or not concerned in this case. It is returning nothing. It is just deleting the whole table. Let us just see whether it is reflected. Done. So your stud1 table is gone. So this is how you can insert, you can update, you can delete, you can create a table as well as drop a table using the statement interface's execute update method. The execute update method here is focusing on the DDL, that is data definition language, as well as DML, that is data manipulation language. That's all for the lecture today. Thank you.